I'm very well, thank you. And how are you? How are you coping up with all of this media bombardment?
It's been it's been interesting, and it's been uplifting, and it's also been sometimes very sad and tragic. But as long as we're all walking in the same direction for the same goal, I think that's what's important. Hey.
Absolutely, agreed, absolutely. Great, good, great stuff.
So a bit about your background, where you're from, how you got into tourism.
So basically, I am originally from India, Mumbai, married a South African, moved here about 14 years ago. I have always been in the tourism industry for all my life. When I say all my life, ever since I was in varsity in Mumbai, I joined a company as a trainee in travel. And then from there on, you've seen my resume, from there on, moved from place to place into Dubai, then into South Africa, worked with the Spirit of Africa, my last company, my first and last company in South Africa. I worked with them for a long stint of about 6 years. As their general manager and director of sales and marketing. And then I had my second one, and I decided, okay, it's time for me to start my own business instead of making money for the whole world. Let me make some money now, because that's my USP. My forte was actually taking loss-making companies and fractured companies and actually reinventing them and then turning them into profit-making companies. So that's my forte, basically. And I said, you know what, let me just start my own company. And tourism is what I love. So I started my own company, Mirchee Destination Management. And the word Mirchee basically originates from India. That's the significance of the green chili. And that is specifically used in Mumbai. And hence, I wanted to associate the chili to the Indian market, and hence I called it Mirchee Pty Limited. And it was launched in 2013, and ever since then it's been a good long stint, except for the drought and this pandemic now. So I started single-handedly with myself, and then a team of 2, and a team of 4, then a team of 6, and yeah. And we've grown from strength to strength, and that's where we stand as of now. Unfortunately, because of the drought in 2017, 2018, we took quite a bad hit on the industry, specifically from our target markets being India, the Middle East, and a small segment of the American market. So we got quite affected during that time, and then we tried to come back again in 2018, slowly but surely, and there goes 2019 again downhill. So it has been quite difficult for us. I had to retrench my entire team. I have just one person working for me from home at the moment, and unfortunately that's what we had to do, and everyone is surviving on their UIF thanks to TERS. That's all we can do for the moment, and hope that the industry does get better. But coming back to me personally, I am a single mom. I lost my husband 3 years ago. He passed away. And as a single woman, from that perspective, it has been difficult, especially running a household, paying for your bond, not having incomes like, for example, all your profitability and all the money that you have or keep aside for a rainy day, you've got to pay staff, you've got to churn it out, you've got to run a household. And I'm not a huge company where we have huge overdrafts from banks and things like that, so we can roll our money. So unfortunately, that has hit me personally quite hard. And in saying that, one has to make ends meet. So, I've started my own food business at the moment, and I called it Mirchee Foods now. And I'm running this business from home side by side, besides doing other things and trying to juggle. But what else can one do? Just be hopeful and grateful at the same time. Be realistic, and just hope that this industry does get better. Yeah, so that's where I stand personally, on the personal side, as being a mom and a single parent.
You started off saying what your area of expertise in, where you go into companies that are fractured and you reinvent them. And if nothing else, tourism at the moment feels a little bit fractured, doesn't it? So
Absolutely, absolutely.
if you were the MD of tourism, the newly appointed MD of tourism, and I was saying to you, it's fractured, you need to fix it, what would you do, Cindy?
Geez, in this point of time, there's something, I mean, there is disaster management and there is disaster, and there is only so much one can do within one's own sphere of working. But in this particular context, there is nothing one can do besides actually trying to motivate and inspire, and just to keep that going, and everyone's sense of stability going, that's all we can do. But in terms of a fractured company, I think the entire economy is fractured, and the entire tourism industry is fractured in that sense when it comes to the pandemic. So I wish I could do much more, and I have so many ideas and so many thoughts in my head, but everything relates to money. And where is that money going to come from? Where is that funding going to come from? I did apply to the tourism relief funding, and I was rejected on the basis that I don't qualify because I'm over 5 million in turnover. Um, so it's daunting, and Tali, it's absolutely daunting to not know where the support can come from. If they can't support an SMME like me, what about the guys who actually have absolutely zilch support, no support at all? Yeah, it's quite daunting.
Let's talk about the support for the tourism industry. And tourism is often seen in the halls of power as a soft industry, not particularly important perhaps, or not as important as other industries like manufacturing or mining, for example, in the South African economy. Why do you think tourism is important to South Africa?
Firstly, from the stats, what I've heard, I think tourism takes over mining. I think agriculture comes first, I think, and then comes tourism, and then comes mining. But I think in the perspective of tourism, again, I think it's very, very, very important for the people that work in this industry, the contributing factor to the work that we generate for the people in the industry, and that's 8.2% of the total economy, and I think that is huge and humongous. And if we don't have this industry, the economy will definitely get hit, and which it has been hit highly with tourism being the way it is globally. So it is imperative that tourism comes back to normalcy in some way or the other, in terms of jobs, in terms of sustenance, in terms of the economy of the country. It's key, it's vital.
May I ask you a personal question? You can say,
Absolutely.
no, I don't want to answer it. Why? So you have Indian citizenship, you've worked in Dubai, you are clearly someone who's marketable, who could get a job pretty easily, I think, anywhere. What's holding you? Why stay in South Africa? What's holding you back?
When you come from a country like India, which is again a third world country like South Africa, but I think South Africa has a mix of a second world and a third world, especially Cape Town, I would say so. And we have the same mindset, we have the same drive, we have the same demarcation in poverty, but when I did come here a couple of years ago, I missed home. And then now when I do go back home and I say I want to go back home to my family, and they say, okay, and I say I want to go home, and they look at me and say, but this is home. And I said, no, this is not home. I'm visiting. Home is South Africa, and I've gone so close to South Africa. It is my home now. It's 14 years, and I love it. Love this country with a passion. India will always be home for me, but in the different sense of the word, because that's my upbringing, that's my morals, my values, my foundation. But when it comes to home, where I connect my soul, my heart, my work, my children, the people, what inspires me, and hence I don't think I would choose to be anywhere else but South Africa, until such time we asked to leave the country and go somewhere else. I don't think I would do that at any such given time. Not soon, not very soon, definitely not. So I love South Africa, and especially Cape Town.
What could you say to other women who are in a similar position to you at the moment, where they're single mothers, single parents, running their businesses, or perhaps they were a staff member and they've lost their jobs? What would you say to them to keep them positive about the future and still interested in staying in the tourism industry?
That's a very interesting question, and it's a very, I must think about this very carefully, because that's going to go out to a lot of women out there. And I've always wanted to inspire people, and I try my best to inspire through different channels and different platforms. And as a single mother, firstly as a woman, very importantly as a woman, it's very, very important to firstly have your own self-confidence and believe in yourself. Because if you don't have any self-confidence, I don't think you can do anything. You can't work any miracles. So the number one thing is to have self-confidence. Number two is to actually make do with what you have and think out of the box, because we cannot sit and wait for entitlement to happen to us. We cannot sit and wait for someone to lift us up. We have to lift ourselves up. And that only happens when you can think out of the box. What skills I have, what talents I have. I decided to open Mirchee Foods for the moment, and it's doing all right. But at least that's food on the table, and that's some kind of income generated. So at the same time, women should also believe in themselves. Number one. Number two is they should think out of the box. Number three is another one woman has to inspire another woman. Women have to uplift other women. We as women have to uplift other women. Without that, I think women are strong with other women. I think that's very, very, very important.
Who inspires you?
I inspire myself. But my inspiration actually comes from my mother. And she's passed. And so she was a very strong woman. So my inspiration comes from my mom. I lost my father when I was very young. And I lost my mom also when I was very young. So that inspiration and how she brought us up, very strong woman, dynamic woman, self-made woman, I must say.
A good role model. We all
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And I'm sure for the staff and for the team that you had prior to COVID happening, you were that role model. You were their inspiration. What are they doing now? How are they coping with the situation?
It's difficult because everyone has a home to run and has kids, and some of them are single, and it's difficult. But as I say, I've had strong women in my team, and they are strong women. They're very strong women, and they make do with the situation. They find ways and means to do something. But no one's on the streets. No one's without a home. No one's without food on their table. So that, I say, we must be grateful for.
And if I was to say to you now that you had a direct line into the women who sit at the NCCC level, who are putting together the regulations that define whether or not tourism opens, what would be that one message that you would want to communicate to those women specifically who sit in those seats of power that can decide whether or not or when or how to reopen our tourism industry?
There's just one thing I would say to them, just to put themselves in the same situation that we are in, and what would they do and how would they motivate to get tourism back. Just put themselves in the same situation. That's all it takes for another woman to think how another woman is suffering or going through the same difficult situation. So just put themselves in our shoes.
That's beautiful and so gracious, Cindy. Thank you so much for that. And thank you so much for what a beautiful interview.
Thank you so much, Natalia, for having me. My absolute pleasure to having spoken to you. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Have a lovely day.
You too. Have a lovely weekend. Bye-bye. Bye.